On the morning of his 18th birthday, a boy walked out of a group home with everything he owned stuffed into a single black trash bag. No family waiting at the curb, no cake, no one calling his name. Just a social worker handing him a yellowed envelope that had been locked in a filing cabinet for 17 years. Inside that envelope was a will, a rusted iron key, and a deed to 5 acres of land in the mountains, land that every lawyer, every official, every sensible adult told him was worthless. They told him to sell it, take the money, walk away, start over. He didn't listen, because the envelope came from a man the system said had abandoned him, a grandfather he couldn't even remember. And somewhere deep inside, a question was burning that he couldn't put out. Why would a man who abandoned me leave me anything at all? So he got on a bus. He rode 4 hours into the mountains. He walked 3 miles down a dirt road overgrown with weeds. And what he found, buried beneath that worthless piece of land, sealed behind a steel door that hadn't been opened in nearly 2 decades, would unravel every lie he had ever been told about his family, his mother, and the quiet old woman in town who burst into tears the moment she saw his face. If you have ever felt forgotten by the world, stay with me. This story is for you. You are 18 years old today, legally at least. Functionally, you are nothing. Baggage, a name at the bottom of a form. The ceiling above your bunk has 17 water stains. You counted them 2 nights ago. You counted them again last night. You counted them at 4 in the morning when you could not sleep. Same 17 stains. Same cracked fluorescent light, humming its endless song. The light has been humming like that for 6 years, 2 months and 11 days, because you counted. Your name is Caleb Ashford, and in 3 hours, they will hand you a black plastic trash bag, a bus voucher, and a list of phone numbers. They will call it a fresh start. You will call it what it is. They are kicking you out. The mattress under your back is thin. The springs push up through the fabric, like something trying to escape. You sit up slowly. The bunk above yours is empty. Jamal left 2 weeks ago, aged out, just like you. They sent him to a motel downtown with a voucher for 7 nights. You have not heard from him since. 7 nights. That is what 18 years of being a ward of the state earns you. A week in a room that smells like cigarettes and old carpet. And then nothing. You stand up. Your socks used to be white. The linoleum floor is cold. It is always cold, even in summer. The Northwood Group Home for Boys was built in 1960-something, and it has been slowly dying ever since. Your black trash bag sits by the door. Inside are 3 t-shirts that do not fit. 2 pairs of jeans that fit worse. A winter coat you got from a donation bin last Christmas. 2 paperback books with broken spines. A toothbrush. A cheap digital watch. And 1 photograph. A woman, smiling, brown hair, eyes like yours. Your mother. You do not remember her. Not really. You were too small. But you remember the feeling of being held sometimes. In dreams, the clock on the wall says 7:42, 18 minutes. You zip up your hoodie. You pick up the backpack. Inside is your file, a stack of paper 2 inches thick. Every assessment, every incident report, every foster home that sent you back, every group home that took you in, every school that forgot your name. 17 years of you. And none of it is yours. You walk down the hallway. The fluorescent light above flickers twice. The boys' bathroom door is open. Someone is brushing their teeth. You do not look. You never look. You learned early that eye contact in this place is a currency. You either spend it or hoard it. You hoard. Down the stairs, past the cafeteria, the smell of burnt toast, powdered eggs, industrial coffee. You will miss none of it. Except maybe the way the stairs creak on the third step. The way Miss Delphina, the cook, slipped you an extra slice of bread when you were 12 and too thin. The way the heating pipe in the west hallway knocked 3 times before the heat came on. The small things. The things that made this place almost feel like. No. Do not say that word. Not yet. The director's office door is closed. You stop. You check your watch. 7:59. You wait. You always wait. Waiting is the first thing they teach you here. Waiting for permission. Waiting for your name to be called. Waiting for the next bed check, the next form, the next caseworker, the next rejection. Waiting is a skill. The clock flips. 8:00. You knock twice. Polite, controlled. The knock of a boy who has learned never to be a problem. The door opens. Mrs. Abernathy is standing there. You blink. You were expecting Mr. Donovan, the director, the man who signs the forms, the man who says happy birthday in a voice that sounds like he is reading it off a cereal box. But it is Mrs. Abernathy. She's 67 years old. She has been your caseworker since you were 11. She wears cardigans the color of oatmeal. She smells faintly like lavender and old paper. Her glasses hang from a beaded chain around her neck, and she has never, not once in 7 years, called you subject or case number in front of your face. She calls you Caleb. Just Caleb. Come in, honey. Shut the door behind you. You sit down. Metal chair. Plastic seat. Mrs. Abernathy sits across from you. She's not holding a clipboard. That is the first strange thing. She's holding a manila folder, thick and soft with age. The edges are yellowed, and on top of it, a small package wrapped in brown paper. Tied with actual string. You stare at it. Happy birthday, Caleb. Her voice is quiet. Thank you. Automatic. The way you always say it. She slides the folder across the desk, but she keeps her hand on the brown paper package. I have to do the official part first. Then we'll get to the other thing. The other thing. Your stomach tightens, because no one at Northwood has ever said the other thing to you before. The other thing is what you say when there is a second thing. And for you, for as long as you can remember, there has only ever been the first thing. The form, the placement, the next rejection. There is no other thing. Not for boys like you. She walks you through the script. You know the script. Transitional housing, 6-month waiting list. She has put you on it. Motel voucher, 7 nights at the Starlight Inn downtown. You have heard stories about the Starlight Inn. None of them good. Employment resources, food stamp application, bus pass. That is it. That is the sum total of what 18 years in the care of the state earns you. A bag, a voucher, a packet, a pass. You take the papers. Your hand is steady. You promised yourself. No shaking, no crying, no giving them one more thing to write in the file. Subject exhibits emotional distress upon discharge. Poor coping mechanisms. No. You will be invisible. You will be smooth. You will be a ghost walking out of a building full of ghosts. Thank you, Mrs. Abernathy. You stand up. Caleb, sit down. You sit down. She puts both hands on the brown paper package. She takes a long breath, the kind of breath a person takes when they're about to say something they have been waiting a long time to say. This has been in your file since you were 18 months old. You stare at her. 18 months old. Because your brain cannot hold the sentence. The instructions were very specific. It was to be given to you on your 18th birthday. Not a day before. Not by anyone else. I have been holding on to it for 7 years. Before that, it was in a locked cabinet for 10 years. Before that, I do not know. But I do know this, Caleb. She slides the package across the desk. Someone wanted you to have this very, very badly. You look down at it. Brown paper. Soft at the corners. The string is tied in a small, neat bow. The kind of bow an old man ties. Careful, patient. Your name is written on the front. Caleb Ashford. The handwriting is spidery. Slanted. The ink has faded to a soft brown black. Not a form, not a stamp, not a printed label. A name, written by hand for you. You have never, in your entire life, received anything that was written for you by hand. Your throat closes. You do not move. Mrs. Abernathy watches you. Patiently. The way she has watched you for 7 years. Who? You finally manage. She opens the folder. She pulls out a single sheet of paper. Old. Typed on a typewriter. You can see the slight unevenness of the letters. Your maternal grandfather, Walter Ashford. The name hits you like a slap. Your grandfather. The man the file says abandoned you. The man who handed you over to the state when you were a baby and disappeared. The man who, according to every social worker who ever filled out a form about you, was the reason you grew up here. Alone? He left you this? I do not understand. Your voice sounds small. Mrs. Abernathy looks at you. Her eyes are very tired and very kind. Neither do I, honey. But I have read the notes, and I have been in this job a long time. And I will tell you something that is not in any handbook. She leans forward. Sometimes the story on paper is not the whole story. Sometimes the story on paper is just the part that could be written down. You do not know what that means. Not yet. You will. But not yet. She slides the package the rest of the way across the desk. You pick it up. It is heavier than it looks. Something inside is solid. Metal. It slides slightly when you tilt the package. You untie the string slowly. You do not want to tear the paper. You do not know why. It just feels like paper that has waited 18 years should be opened gently. The paper falls open. Inside, a thick envelope sealed with a strip of old tape. And underneath the envelope, wrapped in a scrap of soft blue cloth, a key. The key is old, iron, heavy, as long as your palm. The kind of key you see in movies about castles, the kind of key that does not open mailboxes or apartments or lockers, the kind of key that opens something that was meant to stay closed. You hold it up to the light. The iron is dark, pitted with age, but the teeth of the key are sharp, clean. Someone oiled this key. Someone cared for it. Your hand closes around it. It is cold and heavy. And for some reason you cannot explain, it feels like it was made for you. Mrs. Abernathy reaches into the folder one more time. She pulls out a stapled document. This is the legal summary. In plain English, your grandfather left you one piece of property, 5 acres of land, unincorporated county, up in the mountains, a town called Silver Creek. Silver Creek? The name means nothing to you. You have never been to Silver Creek. You have never been anywhere except this building, 3 foster homes, and 1 school field trip to an aquarium when you were 10. There are no structures on the land, no utilities, no address, just trees and rocks. The taxes were paid in advance for the next 20 years by an anonymous trust. That trust expires this year. She pauses. Caleb, I have to be honest with you. The county considers this property effectively worthless. Worthless? She nods. But then she opens a second folder and pulls out a crisp white envelope. Business-sized, expensive paper, a printed logo in the top corner, a stylized M, Meridian Holdings. This company has been trying to buy your grandfather's land for years. They have sent an offer every 2 years, like clockwork. This one came 3 months ago. The amount is substantial. How substantial? She hesitates. Enough to put you through college? Buy a car? Pay rent for a long time? Maybe start a small business? A long silence. Let me ask you something. Before we go on, have you ever held a piece of paper that you knew, before you even opened it, was going to change your life? If you have, stay with me. If you have not, stay with me anyway. Because Caleb is about to hold one. You sit there. The iron key is in your right hand. The white envelope is on the table in front of you. You are 18 years old, with $17 in your pocket and a trash bag full of clothes waiting by the door. You could take the money. Mrs. Abernathy does not say it, but you can feel her not saying it. You could take the money. You could walk out of this office with the number on that envelope, and you would never have to sleep on a thin mattress again. You could rent an apartment. You could buy a coat that fits. You could eat food that was not from a cafeteria. You could. Your fingers curl tighter around the key. And you hear yourself ask something you did not plan to ask. Did he ever come back? Mrs. Abernathy looks up. What, sweetheart? My grandfather. Did he ever come back? Did he ever ask about me? Did he ever try to see me? Mrs. Abernathy's face does something strange. Her mouth opens, then closes, then opens again. I do not know, Caleb. The file does not say. But her eyes say something else. Her eyes say, I have wondered that myself. For 7 years, you look at the iron key. You look at the envelope from Meridian Holdings, and you think about something Mrs. Abernathy said exactly 2 minutes ago. Someone wanted you to have this very, very badly. The file says your grandfather abandoned you. The file says he disappeared. The file says he never came back. But the file was written by people who write files. And the man who left you this key 18 years ago did not write a file. He wrote your name, by hand, in ink, on brown paper. And he tied the string in a careful, patient bow. Does a man who wants to abandon his grandson tie a careful, patient bow? You look up. I need a bus ticket. Mrs. Abernathy blinks. The motel is downtown, honey. The shuttle goes, not the motel, I need a ticket to Silver Creek. She stares at you. Caleb, that is a 4-hour ride into the mountains. There is nothing out there. The motel voucher is for tonight. If you do not use it tonight, you lose it. There are no resources in Silver Creek, no shelter, no food bank, no job placement. It is wilderness. I know. She looks at you for a long moment, and then something in her face changes. It is not pity. You have seen pity on her face 1,000 times. Pity is easy. Pity is the cheapest thing a grown-up has to give. This is something else. Recognition. She is looking at you the way you look at someone who has just stood up for the first time in a very long time. She reaches into her desk drawer. She pulls out a booklet of bus vouchers. She starts writing. I'm going to lose my job for this, she mutters. I'm sorry. No, you are not, and you should not be. I'm not even a little bit sorry, Caleb. She tears off the voucher and hands it to you. Silver Creek, one way. You stand up. You put the iron key in your front pocket. You can feel the weight of it against your leg. Heavy, real. You put the thick envelope in your backpack. Carefully, like it is made of glass. The white envelope from Meridian Holdings, you pick that up too. But you do not put it in the backpack. You hold it in your left hand, away from the rest. Like something you have not yet decided about. At the door, you stop. You turn around. Mrs. Abernathy is sitting at the desk. Her cardigan is slightly crooked. Her glasses are sliding down her nose. She looks 67 years old, and she looks exhausted. Mrs. Abernathy. Yes, honey. You swallow. You are not good at this. You have never been good at this. 17 years in a system that taught you never to need anything from anybody. You do not have the muscle for it, but you try. Thank you for calling me Caleb. All these years, her hand goes to her mouth. She does not cry. She's 67 years old and she works with orphans and foster kids, and she has not cried at work in probably 40 years. But her eyes fill up. Oh, sweetheart, that was the easiest part of my job. You walk out. You pick up the trash bag. You sling the backpack over your shoulder. You push open the glass doors of Northwood for the last time. The morning air hits you. It is October. The sky is the color of a bruise. You walk, you do not look back. The Greyhound terminal smells like diesel, and old coffee, and wet coat. Platform 4, a 4-hour ride into the mountains. You sit on a plastic chair. You take the thick envelope out of your backpack. You turn it over in your hands. Caleb Ashford. You slide a finger under the old tape. It comes up easily, crumbling in your hand. You open the envelope. Inside, a stack of folded papers. Thick, maybe 20 pages. Cream-colored, heavy, expensive. Not the kind of paper a government form is printed on. The kind of paper a person uses when they are writing something they want to last. You unfold the first letter. The handwriting is the same as the name on the envelope. Spidery, slanted, careful. The date at the top stops your breath. Written the day you turned 1 year old, my dearest Caleb. You're almost 1 year old. 10 months and 3 weeks, to be exact. Your mother counts the weeks still. She always will. You're asleep on my chest right now. Your hand is curled around my thumb. You're making small sounds in your sleep, like a puppy dreaming. I do not want to put you down. I do not want to put you down because tomorrow I have to do something that will break my heart. Tomorrow I have to let them take you. I am writing this so that 17 years from now, when you read it, you will know. You were not left. You were hidden. There is a difference, my boy, and one day you will understand. Your hands are shaking. You promised yourself this morning. No shaking, no crying, no letting anyone see. But there is no one here. There's only a boy on a plastic chair at platform 4, and a stack of letters from a dead man, and an iron key in his front pocket, and the word hidden. Not abandoned, hidden. You fold the letter back up. You put it back in the envelope. You hold the envelope against your chest. You close your eyes. The bus pulls in. A diesel engine, a hiss of brakes, the smell of exhaust. The driver is a man with a gray beard and a baseball cap. You pick up your trash bag. You walk down the aisle. You choose a seat by the window. You put the bag at your feet. You put the backpack on your lap. You keep the envelope in your hands. The bus pulls out of the terminal. The city slides past the window. Grey concrete, graffiti, a billboard for a car dealership, a man sleeping in a doorway, a woman pushing a shopping cart. Your whole life, every block of it, every foster home, every school, every corner store where you bought a pack of gum with change you found. And then it is behind you. Suburbs, then fields, then hills, then mountains. You unfold the second letter. My dearest Caleb, your mother's name was Rebecca. You called her Mama. You said it exactly twice before she was taken from us. Twice. Your first word, your second word, and then she was gone. You should know what kind of woman she was. She was brave. Too brave for a world that punishes brave women. She was a journalist. She was working on a story that would have destroyed a very powerful company. She had found things they did not want found. She was 31 years old when they ran her off the road. You read the sentence 3 times because the file said, motor vehicle accident. The file said, single vehicle. The file said, no suspicious circumstances. The file. You lean your forehead against the cold glass of the bus window. Outside, the mountains blur by. Inside, your chest is cracking open like ice in spring. Your mother did not die in an accident. Your mother was killed. And someone buried that truth in a file. And that file became your life. And you grew up thinking your mother had been careless or unlucky or just a statistic. No. Your mother was a warrior. And someone killed her for it. And you have spent 17 years believing the file. Somewhere in the 3rd hour, you must sleep. Because you open your eyes and the light is different. It is late afternoon. The shadows are long, golden. The bus is slowing down. The driver calls out, Silver Creek, next stop, Silver Creek. You step off the bus. The smell hits you first. Pine, wet earth, wood smoke from somewhere. The air is colder here than in the city. Thinner. It fills your lungs in a way city air never did. The bus pulls away in a cloud of diesel, and then silence. You have never heard silence like this. There is no station. There is a wooden bench, a patch of gravel, a 2-lane road. And across the road, a small building with a faded sign. Hollis General Store. You walk across the road. A bell jingles above the door when you push it open. The inside smells like coffee and sawdust and something sweet. Maybe cinnamon, maybe apples. It is cluttered and warm and alive in a way that no place you have ever been has been alive. An old man sits behind the counter. He is reading a newspaper. His beard is white and enormous. The name on the store sign outside reads Hollis. His own name, you will learn in a moment, is Jim Hollis. He looks up over wire-rimmed glasses. Afternoon. Afternoon. You do not know what to do next. So you just stand there, clutching the trash bag, holding the backpack. 18 years old and lost. The old man studies you. You look like somebody I used to know. You do not know how to answer that. So you ask the only question you have. I am looking for a piece of land, the Ashford property, old Walter Ashford's place. The newspaper falls out of his hands. It does not fall dramatically. It just falls. Onto the counter, paper on wood, a small quiet sound. He does not pick it up. He stares at you. Ashford? Yes, sir. Walter Ashford? Yes, sir. His hand goes slowly to his chest, like he is checking for his own heartbeat. Son, you come around from behind that counter. You come here. You let me look at you. You do not know why, but you walk around the counter. The old man takes off his glasses. He puts them on the newspaper. He looks at your face. Really looks. His eyes go over your eyebrows, your cheekbones, your jaw, the shape of your mouth, and his eyes fill up. Oh, Lord in heaven, you are Becca's boy. You stop breathing. No one has ever called your mother Becca. In 17 years, not one person, in one file, in one conversation, in one photograph caption. No one. Becca. Rebecca, your mother. She sat right there on that stool when she was 16 years old and ate cherry pie and told me she was going to be a journalist and change the world. You cannot speak. The old man, Jim Hollis, stands up. He is tall, thin. His hand is shaking as he reaches out. Son? There is a woman you need to meet, right now, today, before the sun goes down. Who? Her name is Margaret Whitford. She owns the diner across the street. And she has been waiting for you, boy. She has been waiting for you for a very long time. You follow him out of the store. The bell jingles behind you. The sun is lower now. The air is colder. Across the street, a small diner with a green-trimmed window. The sign reads, Maggie's. Through the window, you can see an old woman wiping down a counter. Her silver hair is pulled back in a bun. She's small, tidy. She looks up as the bell on your side of the street rings. She sees Jim Hollis. And she sees the boy standing next to Jim Hollis, the boy with the trash bag and the backpack, and her best friend's grandson's face. The cloth drops from her hand, her mouth opens, and even from across the street, even through 2 panes of glass and 30 feet of cold October air, you can see her whisper one word. Rebecca. Jim Hollis puts a hand on your shoulder. His voice is gentle. Go on, son. You cross the street. You push open the door of the diner. A bell jingles. The old woman puts both hands flat on the counter to steady herself. Her eyes are wet. Oh, honey. 2 words. Just 2. But your knees almost give out. Because in 18 years of hearing your name spoken by strangers, by caseworkers, teachers, group home directors, counselors, judges, no one. No one has ever said a word to you the way this stranger just said, honey, like she has been saving it for a very long time, since the day you were born. You open your mouth, you're going to say your name, you're going to say, I'm Caleb Ashford. My grandfather was Walter Ashford. I am sorry to bother you, but what comes out is not that. What comes out is a sound you did not know you could make. A small, cracked sound, the sound of a boy who has been holding his breath for 18 years. Finally, exhaling, she comes around the counter. She is 4'11" and 72 years old, and she does not ask your permission. She just walks up to you, and she puts her arms around you, and she holds on. You stand in a diner in a mountain town you have never been to, held by a stranger who is not a stranger, who smells like flour and coffee and something older, something like lavender, like old books, like a grandmother's cardigan. And outside, the sun is setting behind the pines, and somewhere, 3 miles east of town, down an overgrown dirt road, behind a rusted iron gate half swallowed by ivy, a steel door waits for you, sealed for almost 17 years. And inside that door, someone has kept a light burning. Finally, she lets go. She steps back. She wipes her face with the corner of her apron. The apron is blue with small white flowers. It has a coffee stain near the pocket. Look at me, getting all over a boy I just met. But she has not just met you. You both know that. Sit down, honey. Right there. That stool. Do not argue with me. You sit because you do not know what else to do. The diner is empty. It is that time of day. Too late for lunch, too early for dinner. A jukebox in the corner is playing something old, something with fiddles. 6 booths, a counter, 8 stools, a cake dome with something inside that looks like a lemon meringue pie, half gone. Maggie is behind the counter now, moving with a purpose that did not exist 30 seconds ago. She's pulling down a plate, a cup, a saucer. She's pouring something from a glass pitcher. Milk, not water. Milk. When did you last eat, honey? This morning. They gave us oatmeal. Oatmeal? She says the word like it personally offended her. That is not food. That is wallpaper paste. Sit tight. She disappears through a swinging door into the kitchen. You hear her moving around. You hear a refrigerator opening, a pan on a burner, a whisk against a bowl. You hear her talking quietly to herself in the kitchen. You cannot make out the words. But the tone is the tone of a woman who has been practicing something for a long, long time, and now she has to do it. And she's checking to make sure she remembers how. Jim Hollis has followed you into the diner. He is sitting on the stool next to you. He has not spoken. He just watches you, like he is looking at a ghost. Finally, he says, "Your mama used to sit right where you're sitting. I used to walk over from the store on my lunch break. She would come home from college for the summer. 17, 18 years old. She would sit there and argue with me about politics and eat 3 slices of pie and leave a $2 tip on a $5 meal. Said tipping was a moral obligation." He smiles. His eyes are wet. That girl was something. The swinging door opens. Maggie comes out. She's carrying a plate. On the plate, 2 scrambled eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, a biscuit cut in half with butter melting into the hot bread, a small dish of strawberry jam on the side. She sets it in front of you. She pours coffee into the cup. She puts the milk and sugar within reach. She pushes the plate an inch closer to you. Eat, Caleb. You stop. How do you know my name? She freezes. Just for a second. Her hand is still on the coffee pot. Her eyes flick up to yours, and then down. Eat first, then we talk. You pick up the fork. Your hand is shaking. You tell your hand to stop shaking. Your hand does not listen. The first bite of egg is so soft, it almost dissolves on your tongue. The eggs at Northwood were yellow powder, reconstituted with water. These eggs are what eggs are supposed to be. Buttery, warm, salted just right. You take another bite, and another, and then you're eating, really eating. The way a person eats who has been hungry for 18 years and did not know it until this moment. Maggie watches you. She does not say a word. She just refills your coffee once, puts another biscuit on your plate, slides the jam closer, and watches. When the plate is empty, you set the fork down. Thank you. Oh, sweetheart, do not thank me for eggs. A beat. Mom, how do you know my name? She sits down on the stool across from you and folds her hands on the countertop. The counter has been polished so many times the wood is soft and warm. She looks at you for a long moment. And then she says, very quietly, because I held you, Caleb. When you were 3 days old, take a breath with me, would you? Because Caleb just ran out of his. And we are only getting started. The coffee cup in your hand. You set it down very carefully. Because if you do not set it down carefully, you will drop it. You what? I held you in the hospital. Your mama was sitting up in the bed. She was tired. She was so tired. And you were wrapped in a blue blanket. And she handed you to me and she said, Maggie, this is my boy. His name is Caleb. Caleb Walter Ashford. Do not let him forget who he is. Maggie's voice cracks. But she keeps going. And I said, Becca, honey, he is a baby. He does not know who he is yet. And your mama laughed. And she said, he will. And when he does, you remind him. Maggie reaches across the counter. She puts her small old hand over yours. I'm reminding you, Caleb. You cannot breathe. 18 years. 18 years you have lived in a world where no one knew you as a baby. Where no one held you in a blue blanket. Where no one was told your full name by the woman who gave it to you. 18 years. And this woman, this tiny old woman in a diner in a mountain town, held you when you were 3 days old. And she has been carrying that promise around every day since. Where is my grandfather? It is the only question your mouth can form. Maggie's eyes fill up. She does not let go of your hand. Oh, honey. Where is he? She takes a long breath. Walter passed 2 years ago, sweetheart. The diner tilts. Not the diner. You. You tilt. You have spent the entire bus ride, 4 hours, climbing into the mountains, reading letters from a man you thought had abandoned you, realizing he did not abandon you, realizing he hid you, realizing he loved you. And now you are being told that the man you just discovered has been gone for 2 years, which means he was alive when you were 15, and when you were 10, and when you were 7, And when you were 5, he was alive. All those nights you cried yourself to sleep in a bunk at Northwood. All those birthdays no one remembered. All those Christmases. He was alive. And you did not know. Honey, look at me. You look at her. He could not come for you. Every day he wanted to, but he could not. And the reason he could not is the same reason this place exists. The same reason I have been waiting for you in this diner. The same reason you are sitting here today, instead of in that motel downtown. And when you are ready, I will tell you the whole story. I want to know now. I know you do. Tell me now, Caleb. Her hand tightens on yours. There is a place 3 miles from here. Your grandfather built it with his own hands before he left. He built it for one reason, honey. He built it so that one day, when you came home, there would be a place for you to sit down and hear the truth in a room that could not be listened in on. I am not going to tell you your grandfather's story over eggs in a diner, sweetheart. He deserves better than that. Your mama deserves better than that. And you deserve better than that. I'm going to take you home, Caleb. Home. You're 18 years old, and no one has ever used that word about you before. Jim Hollis clears his throat. I will close up the store, Mags. I will drive you both. Thank you, Jim. Jim Hollis drives a pickup truck, older than you are. The seats are cracked leather. The dashboard has 3 different dials, none of them lit. The truck rattles when it starts. It coughs. It thinks about dying. It decides against it. You sit in the middle. Maggie on your right. Jim driving. The 3 of you crammed into the front seat of a truck that smells like hay and engine oil and old coffee. The trash bag and backpack are in the bed of the truck. It is starting to get dark. The mountains are turning purple. The pines are turning black. The sky is still holding a little gold at the top, but the gold is thinning. Old Mill Road, 3 miles out. Pavement ends at about 1.5 miles. I remember. You been out there recently? Sunday. Same as always. Same as always, Jim. They do not look at you when they say this, but you hear it. Sunday. Same as always. What has been happening on Sundays? For how long? You do not ask. Not yet. But the question plants itself in your chest, like a seed. The truck turns off the highway onto a smaller road, then off the smaller road onto a dirt road. The dirt road narrows. The pines come in close on both sides. The headlights cut a yellow tunnel through the dark. You can see moths caught in the beam. A doe steps off the road and vanishes. The road gets worse. Ruts. Stones. The truck bounces. Maggie holds on to the door handle. Almost there. There. On the left. The headlights find it. 2 stone posts. Massive. Weathered. Between them, a rusted iron gate hangs from one hinge. Ivy has half swallowed the posts. A wooden sign, nearly illegible with moss, is nailed to one post. You can just make out a word. Ashford. Jim stops the truck. He turns off the engine. The silence comes in like a wave. Crickets, wind in the pines, the tick of cooling metal under the hood. Nothing else. I will wait here. You 2 go on. Maggie nods. She opens her door. She climbs down. She holds out her hand to help you. You do not need help. You are 18 and she's 72. But you take her hand anyway. Because something in you needs to. She has a flashlight. Of course she has a flashlight. She came prepared. She has been coming here every Sunday for almost 17 years. She has walked this path, in the rain, in the snow, in the spring mud, in the October dark. She clicks the flashlight on. Stay close, honey. The path is rougher than it looks. She steps past the broken gate and onto the land that is now yours. The land slopes up. The flashlight beam bobs. It finds a fallen log, a patch of ferns, a tree that has grown at a strange angle, a stone half buried in moss. Maggie walks slowly. She knows where she's going. She does not need to look. Your grandfather planted those pines, the tall ones in a row. He said he wanted you to have shade one day. You look up. The pines are 60 feet tall. He planted them when you were 1 year old. He was thinking about your shade. 17 years before you arrived. You walk. Your legs are tired. It has been a long day, the longest day of your life. You got up this morning in a bunk at Northwood. You ate powdered oatmeal. You walked out of a building. You took a bus across a state. You read letters from a dead man. You were hugged by a stranger who was not a stranger. You ate eggs. You were told your grandfather passed 2 years ago, and now you're walking up a hillside in the dark, following a 72-year-old woman with a flashlight toward a place your grandfather built for you before you could even walk. Here, Maggie says softly. She stops. You stop. She moves the flashlight, and the beam finds it. A gray concrete wall set into the hillside, 20 feet wide, 10 feet tall, mossed over at the edges, almost swallowed by the forest, but solid, unmistakable, not natural, man-made. In the middle of the wall, a steel door. The door is painted gray. The paint is flaking. Rust has bloomed around the edges. There is no handle, just a keyhole and a large circular wheel, like a valve, like a ship's hatch, like something from a submarine. You stare at it. What is this? This, honey, is your inheritance. She steps aside. She does not put her hand on the wheel. She does not touch the door. She just steps aside. And she waits, because this is your door. This is your moment. She has been keeping this door alive for 17 years. She has polished the hinges. She has oiled the keyhole. She has brought flowers every Sunday. She has lit a candle every Sunday. She has done all of it so that when you arrived, the door would open for you. Your hand goes to your front pocket. The iron key, heavy, cold, real. You pull it out. It catches the light of the flashlight. The teeth of the key gleam. You look at Maggie. Is this going to be hard to open? She smiles, a small, sad smile. Your grandfather built it so a child could open it, sweetheart. He built it so you could open it. You step up to the door. You slide the key into the lock. It fits, of course it fits. You turn it. The lock makes a sound, a deep grinding sound. Heavy tumblers falling into place inside the door. The sound echoes off the concrete. It echoes off the trees. It echoes into you. You grab the wheel with both hands. You turn. The wheel resists for a moment. Just a moment. Your muscles tighten. Your shoulders burn. And then it gives. It spins smoothly, freely, like it has been turned regularly, like someone has been keeping it oiled, which someone has for 17 years. The wheel stops turning. There is a deep hiss. Air, old air, cold air. The air of a place that has been sealed. The door swings inward, just an inch. And a smell comes out. Not a smell of rot, not a smell of abandonment, not a smell of a tomb, a smell of cedar, paper, old books, clean linen, and very, very faintly, wild flowers. You push the door the rest of the way open. Maggie raises the flashlight. The beam cuts into the darkness. And what the beam finds stops your heart. It is not a bunker. It is not a hole in the ground. It is a room. A warm, careful, beloved room. There is a small wooden table, a lamp, a bed neatly made, a wall of bookshelves, a rocking chair in the corner, a woven rug on the floor, a kitchen with a small propane stove, a sink, and in the center of the table, a small glass jar full of wildflowers, purple asters, white daisies, a sprig of goldenrod. The flowers are fresh. They were picked this week. You turn to Maggie. Your voice, when you find it, is very small. You. Yes, honey. Every Sunday. Every Sunday. For almost 17 years, sweetheart. Your knees do not give out, but your soul does. You sit down right there, just inside the door, on the concrete floor, your back against the cold wall, your trash bag, your backpack, your iron key, the envelope full of letters, and the smell of wildflowers that a 72-year-old woman has been picking every Sunday for almost 17 years, and putting in a jar, on a table, in a room, in a hill, in a forest, on a piece of land the whole world thought was worthless. Maggie does not say anything. She just walks to the rocking chair. She picks up a folded blanket from the seat. She brings it to you. She covers you with it. She sits down on the concrete floor next to you. 72 years old, on the cold concrete. She does not complain. She just sits. With you. While you break. You do not remember falling asleep. You wake up in a bed that is not yours. The ceiling is low, concrete, painted white a long time ago. There is a hairline crack that runs from one corner to the lamp cord, and your eyes follow it the way your eyes used to follow the water stains at Northwood. Except this is not Northwood. This is a room inside a hill on a piece of land in the mountains. And the bed you're lying in, your grandfather made. With his own hands. For a long moment, you do not move. You just breathe. The air down here is cool, clean, faintly sweet. Somewhere above you, Maggie has lit a candle. You can smell it. Beeswax, lemon. You turn your head. The wildflowers are still on the table, which means last night was real, which means everything was real. You sit up slowly. Your back aches. Not from the bed. The bed is surprisingly soft. Your back aches from carrying a trash bag 3 miles up a mountain and from crying on concrete until you could not cry anymore. You slept in your clothes. You did not mean to. A soft tap on the half-open inner door. Honey, you awake? Yes, Mom. I've got coffee on. She has coffee on. Down here. At 7 in the morning. You get out of bed. You find your way to the main room. Maggie is at the small kitchen. She has a percolator on the propane stove. The blue flame is low. The coffee smells like the kind of coffee you have only smelled in movies about kitchens where people are loved. She's wearing the same blue apron. She did not go home. She slept in the rocking chair. Mom? Oh, do not mom me. Sit down. You slept in the chair. I've slept in that chair 100 nights. My back knows that chair better than it knows my own bed. 100. Give or take, sweetheart. Sit down. You sit. She sets a cup in front of you. Black. No sugar. No milk. Wait, do you take cream? I do not know. She stops. Her hand is on the refrigerator door, which apparently there is a refrigerator down here. Small, quiet, running on a generator that has been running for 17 years. She looks at you. You do not know how you take your coffee. I'm 18. I just had coffee for the first time yesterday. Maggie's face does something. Her mouth presses into a line. Then she turns to the refrigerator. She opens it. She pulls out a small glass bottle of cream. She sets it on the counter. Well, today you find out. You try it black, bitter. You try it with cream, better. You try it with cream and a spoonful of sugar from the small white bowl Maggie slides across to you. Best. There. Now you know. Caleb Ashford takes his coffee with cream and 1 sugar. She says it like she is filing it away. Like she has been waiting to know for 18 years. You sit at the table. She sits across from you. The candle flickers between you. And for a moment, neither of you speaks. Because there is too much. Mom, Maggie, please. Maggie, I have a lot of questions. I do not know where to start. She wraps both hands around her coffee cup. Start anywhere, honey. We have all day. You look around the room, the walls of books, the lamp, the neatly made bed, the small kitchen, the rocking chair with a shawl over the back. You look at her. How long have you been keeping this place? Almost 17 years. Every Sunday. Every Sunday. Sometimes more. By yourself. By myself. Why? She takes a long breath. Because I promised. Promised who? 2 people, honey. Your grandmother and your grandfather. My grandmother. Oh, sweetheart, you do not know. I do not know anything. Maggie sets down her coffee. She folds her hands. She looks at you the way a person looks at someone they are about to hand something fragile. Something that has been waiting a long time to be given. Your grandmother's name was Eleanor, but everyone called her Nell Ashford, and she was my best friend. From the time we were 15 years old. We grew up in this town, honey, right here in Silver Creek. We went to the same school, we rode the same bus, we dated boys from the same church. And when your grandfather came back from working up in Alaska, he was an engineer, knew how to build things. Nell fell in love with him inside of 3 weeks. They got married the next spring. And I stood right next to her at the altar, in a yellow dress I hated. A small laugh. She made me wear yellow. She said it brought out my eyes. It did not bring out my eyes, honey. But I would have worn a potato sack for Nell. You feel something warm move through your chest. Your mother was born a year after the wedding. Rebecca Ashford. The most beautiful baby I had ever seen. And Nell handed her to me in the hospital, and she said, Maggie, you are her godmother. Do not you dare argue with me. And I did not argue. Maggie's eyes are wet. And then when your mother was 9, Nell got sick. It was fast, honey. Cancer. 4 months from the first diagnosis to the funeral, she was 36 years old. And before she died, she made me promise. She said, "Maggie, you watch over Walter and you watch over Becca. You do not let my people be alone." Maggie wipes her face with her apron. "I said I would. I kept that promise, Caleb. I watched over Walter. I watched over your mother until she was grown and gone to college, until she became a journalist and moved to the city." A long silence. "And then they killed her." The word, killed. You read it in the letter on the bus, but hearing it out loud from the mouth of a woman who held you when you were 3 days old is a different thing. It is a blade. You cannot speak. Maggie reaches across the table. She takes your hand. "I am going to tell you the whole story, honey. But I am going to tell it slow, because it is not an easy story. And you have not had an easy life. And I will not rush a wound." You nod. You cannot trust your voice. Your mother was a reporter. She wrote for a big paper in the city. She was good, Caleb. She was so good. She had a nose for corruption, the way a bloodhound has a nose for blood. She picked up a story. A little story at first. A small town 2 counties over. People were getting sick. Kids were getting sick. Cancer rates through the roof. Birth defects, water that tasted funny. Your mother started pulling on the thread. And the thread went up and up and up until it led to a company called Meridian Holdings. Maggie's mouth tightens. Your mother found proof, Caleb. Internal memos, chemical reports, paid-off officials. She was going to publish it in 3 weeks. But she did not. Why? Because 2 nights before, she called your grandfather. She said, "Daddy, I think they know. I'm scared." And Walter said, "Becca, you bring the baby and come home. Right now, come home." And your mother said she would. First thing in the morning. A pause. She never made it to morning. The police said, single car accident. Said she had been drinking. She had not been drinking, Caleb. Your mother did not drink. Not a drop. Not after her own mother died. She used to say her body was a temple, and her grief had already made a mess of the furniture. Maggie almost laughs. A sad, wet laugh. They ran her off the road, honey. On a curve. In the rain. There were no witnesses. The car went into a ravine. You cannot cry. Your eyes feel like glass. Where was I? You were with me. With you? Your mother had left you with me that weekend. She was working on the final piece. She didn't want you in the apartment while she was finishing. She was afraid, honey. She was already afraid. So you were in my house, sleeping in a crib your grandfather made. I was the one who answered the phone when the police called. I was the one who told Walter. Maggie's voice shakes. I held you that night, sweetheart, all night. I sat in my rocking chair with you on my chest. You were 10 months old. You slept. You did not know. And I sat there and I prayed, and I promised Nell, up in heaven, that this one, this small one, I would not lose. You cannot speak. You reach for her hand. You hold it. And she holds yours. And for a long time, the only sound in the room is the soft hiss of the candle burning down. When you can speak again, your voice is hoarse. Then what? Then, honey, your grandfather came home. And your grandfather was not the same man who left. He came home on fire, Caleb. He came home with a look in his eye I had only seen one other time. And that was when Nell got sick. Walter sat at my kitchen table. He held you in his arms. He rocked you, and he looked at me, and he said, "Mags, they are going to come for him because he is the last thing Rebecca loved, and they will use him to find what she hid." What did she hide? Everything. Every note, every recording, every document. She had copies, Caleb. She had proof that could burn Meridian to the ground. And she sent it all to your grandfather. In a box. 3 days before she died. Where is it? Maggie looks up. She looks around the room, at the walls, the books, the bed, the kitchen. Somewhere in this bunker, honey. Your grandfather hid it down here. Somewhere you will have to find. You stare at her. He hid it here. He did. And he built this place. He built it in 6 months, alone, hauled every bag of concrete up that hill on his back. No one helped him. No one could. Too many eyes. And then he did something, Caleb. Something that broke my heart into pieces I'm still picking up. He took you into the city, to a precinct house. He told them he was your grandfather. He told them he could not care for you anymore. He said he was too old, too broken, too grieving. He said he was giving you up. He signed the papers, and he walked away. Your throat closes. Why? Because he knew, honey. He knew Meridian would look for you. They would come to Silver Creek. They would look at me. They would look at Jim. They would look at anyone who had been close to your mother. And the one place they would not look was inside a state orphanage. Under a name nobody had a reason to remember. So he hid me. He hid you in plain sight, in the biggest haystack he could find. The system. The system, sweetheart. You close your eyes. 17 years. 17 years of believing you were unwanted. 17 years of believing you were forgotten. 17 years of shame you did not know you were carrying. Because you thought the shame was yours, when the shame was never yours. The shame was a lie a grandfather told to save your life. Where did he go? After? That is the hardest part, honey. Tell me. Maggie swallows. He could not stay here. Meridian would have come for him too. They knew Rebecca had sent the evidence to someone. They did not know who. But Walter was the obvious person. So he had to disappear. Where? A little town called Bear Hollow, 200 miles from here. He rented a one-room cabin under a different name. Harold Bennett. He worked odd jobs, fixed engines, sharpened saws, stayed quiet. Alone? Alone, Caleb, for 15 years. 15 years. Alone in a cabin under a false name. 15 years of waking up to an empty room. 15 years of meals for one. 15 years of Christmas cards he could not send. And every birthday of yours, marked on a calendar, only he kept. All he had was the knowledge that somewhere, in a place he could not go, a little boy was growing up. A little boy who was his. Did he watch me? Did he come see me? Once, Caleb? Only once? When you were 10, you were on a field trip to an aquarium. You freeze. The aquarium. The one field trip of your life. The one time you left the city. The one time you were allowed on a bus for something other than a court appearance or a placement move. You were walking behind the group. You were looking at a tank full of jellyfish. He stood outside the window. He watched you for 6 minutes. 6 minutes? He timed it, honey. He said 6 minutes was all he could allow himself. Because if he watched longer, he would walk in, and he would take you, and he would ruin everything. Did he say what I looked like? Maggie's eyes are pouring now, silently. He wrote me a letter that night, sweetheart. From a motel on the highway. He said, Maggie, he has his mother's eyes, and he is so serious. He did not smile once. He did not smile once in 6 minutes. I have failed him. You put your head down on the table, and you cry. For the first time in years, not the kind of crying you did at 10, silently into a pillow. Not the kind of crying you did at 14, face down on a bathroom floor. The kind of crying that is not shame, that is not hiding. The kind of crying that is grief, clean, terrible grief. Maggie does not say anything. She just pulls her chair around, and she puts her old arms around you, and she holds you the way she held you when you were 10 months old. The night your mother died. And she holds on. If you're still with me, thank you. I know this one sits heavy. Keep breathing. There is light coming, I promise. After. A long time after. You sit up. You wipe your face with the back of your sleeve. Maggie hands you a napkin. Tell me the rest. Are you sure, honey? I have to know the rest. She nods. 2 years ago, Walter got sick. He knew it was coming. He had been coughing for a year, finally went to a clinic. They told him it was in his lungs. It was too far gone. 6 months? Maybe less? He called me from a payphone in Bear Hollow. He said, Mags, it is time. I want to come home. Did he? No, honey. Why? Because you were 16, sweetheart. And Meridian still had people watching. And if Walter Ashford surfaced, if he came back to Silver Creek, if he appeared on any record, if anyone knew he was alive, they would find him. And then they would find you. And then you would never get to 18, and then you would never get this. She waves a hand around the room. So he stayed in Bear Hollow. He died in that little cabin, Caleb, 2 years ago, on a Tuesday, in the afternoon, alone. Who found him? I did. Me and Jim Hollis. We drove out on a Wednesday because I had not gotten my weekly phone call on Tuesday night. And I knew. We buried him in the little cemetery up there, under the name Harold Bennett. Because Walter Ashford could not die yet, honey. Walter Ashford had to wait until you were 18, until you came home. You sit there. You do not know how long. You sit. And somewhere inside you, a small boy who spent his whole life believing he was not wanted, dies. And in his place, a different person stands up. Maggie. Yes, sweetheart. He loved me. She looks at you. Her face breaks open. Caleb, honey, he loved you more than anyone on this earth has ever loved anyone. And I will spend every day I have left making sure you know it. You sit in that underground room for a long time. The candle burns down. Maggie gets up. She lights another. She pours more coffee. She cuts 2 slices of bread from a loaf she brought last Sunday. She toasts them on the propane stove. She butters them. She puts one in front of you. You eat. You did not know you could eat, but you eat. Because you are 18 years old, and a story has been given back to you. And you will need your strength for what comes next. Because what comes next is a fight. When you finally speak again, your voice is steady. Meridian, they are still out there. They are. They still want this land. They do. Why? Maggie sets down her coffee because they think the evidence is here, honey. They have never been able to prove it, but they have always suspected. That is why their offers have gone up and up. That is why they have been patient. They thought if they waited long enough, the land would come up for sale. Tax default, abandonment, something. And when it did, they would buy it, and they would tear it up, and they would find the box your grandfather hid. But the taxes were paid by Walter. He sold everything he had left, set up a trust, paid the taxes 20 years in advance. The land was never, not for one single day, going to come up for sale. He outthought them, sweetheart. He beat them with patience. You look around the room again, the walls of books, the shelves, the corners, the floor, the bed. Somewhere in this room, your mother's evidence is hidden. 17 years of waiting. For you? Maggie? Yes? I'm going to find it. I know you are. And then, I am going to use it. She looks at you for a long moment. Her face is lined. Her eyes are tired. She's 72 years old. Caleb. If you do that, they will come for you, the way they came for your mother. Only this time, they will not stop, because they will have nothing left to lose. A silence. You think of your mother, a woman you never knew, a woman who was brave enough to pull on a thread, even when she knew where the thread led. You think of your grandfather, alone in a one-room cabin for 15 years. You think of the aquarium, 6 minutes, the jellyfish, the boy who did not smile. Then let them come. Maggie closes her eyes. One tear, just one, rolls down her cheek. Your mother said those exact words, honey, when I begged her to drop the story. Did she? Verbatim? Then let them come. You look at her across the table. Your voice does not shake. Good. Then I am her son. Maggie reaches across the table. She takes your hand in both of hers. Listen to me, Caleb Ashford. You are not going into this alone. Do you hear me? Maggie. Do you hear me? Yes, ma'am. I have been keeping this promise for 40 years. 40 years. And I did not keep it alone. There are people in this town, people you have not met yet, people who loved your mother, people who loved your grandfather, people who have been waiting quietly for something to be done about Meridian Holdings. Who? Jim, for one. Sheriff Clement Boone. Everyone calls him Clem except strangers, a few others. They do not know you, honey, but they know your blood. And in a town like Silver Creek, blood is a thing people remember. You feel something then? A thing you have never felt before. Not hope exactly. Something older, something quieter. Belonging. There is one more thing, Caleb. Yes. Your grandfather had a lawyer, Daniel Redmond, 75 years old now, lives down in the city. Walter trusted him with everything. Every document, every piece of paper, the trust, the will, all of it. Walter told me, when Caleb comes of age, he will need to call Daniel, and Daniel has been waiting. How long has he been waiting? 17 years, honey. You laugh. a short, cracked laugh. Everyone has been waiting. Everyone, sweetheart. She hands you a flip phone. It is old, the kind that does not connect to the internet, the kind that just makes calls. On the back, in careful handwriting on a strip of masking tape, is a phone number. D. Redmond. Call when ready. You look at the number. Your hand is steady. Your hands have stopped shaking. Somewhere in the last 12 hours, they stopped shaking. You go to the small desk in the corner. You sit down, you flip open the phone, you dial the number. It rings. Once, twice. On the third ring, a man picks up. His voice is old, dry, measured. Redmond and Associates. You take a breath. This is Caleb Ashford. A long silence on the other end, then a sharp intake of breath. And then a man 75 years old starts to cry, quietly, professionally, into the phone. Oh, my boy, I have been waiting a very long time for this call. So I have been told, sir. Your grandfather was my closest friend for 51 years. I was his best man. I was your mother's godfather. I held you at your christening. You will not remember. You were 2 weeks old. Of course he did. Because everyone held you, Caleb. Everyone held you before you were even old enough to know your own name. And then the world took them away, one by one, until now. Until now, they are coming back, Mr. Redmond. Daniel, please. Daniel, I need help. Tell me what you need. I need to end Meridian Holdings. A silence. And then the old man on the other end of the line lets out a breath that sounds like something he has been holding for 17 years. Son? I have been working on that file since the day your mother died. Every file, every chain of ownership, every shell company, every offshore account, every bribed official. I have the whole map. I have a briefcase, Caleb. A briefcase I have not opened in 17 years. I have been waiting for the call to open the briefcase. Open the briefcase, Daniel. When can you come to Silver Creek? I can be there tomorrow afternoon. Come. I'm coming. You hang up. You look at Maggie. Your eyes are dry. Your voice is steady. He's coming tomorrow. Good. Maggie, I have a question. If my mother had evidence and my grandfather hid it here, and I have to find it, do you know where? She shakes her head slowly. Honey, Walter never told me. He said, the less you know, Mags, the safer you are. All I know is what he told me the last time I saw him. What did he tell you? He said, when the boy comes home, tell him to look where the light falls at 3 in the afternoon. On the 15th day of the month. He will know what to do. You stare at her. That is all? That is all, sweetheart. Where the light falls at 3 in the afternoon, on the 15th day. There are no windows down here, Maggie. I know. There is no light down here. I know, honey. Then what did he mean? Maggie's mouth is a small, tired line. I do not know, Caleb. I have thought about it for 2 years. I do not know. You sit back in your chair. You look around the bunker, the walls of books, the shelves, the corners, the lamp, the rocking chair. Where the light falls at 3 in the afternoon, on the 15th day. A puzzle left by a dying man for a grandson he could not come see. You close your eyes. And then you open them. Maggie, what day of the month is it today? She checks a small calendar on the wall, a calendar she has flipped every month for 17 years. The 14th, honey, your heart stops. Tomorrow is the 15th. Yeah, tomorrow at 3. Maggie looks at you, a small smile, trembling. I suppose we find out, sweetheart. You stand. You walk around the bunker slowly, your eyes moving across every surface, every wall, every inch of shelf, the ceiling, the floor, the bookshelves, the small kitchen, the bed, the rocking chair. Where would he put a window down here? Where there are no windows. And then you see it. On the far wall, above the rocking chair, a small circle, painted the same white as the rest of the wall, almost invisible. Unless you were looking for it, a disk of white paint, the size of a small dinner plate, flush with the wall, you have never noticed it, because you had no reason to. But now that you're looking, you see what it is. A cover. Over something, you point. Maggie, what is that? She looks up. Her eyes find the circle on the wall. Her face changes. I have never noticed that before. Never? Never, Caleb. In 17 years. You cross the room. You climb onto the seat of the rocking chair. Maggie holds it steady. You reach up. You touch the white disc. It is not paint. It is a disc of metal, painted to match, held in place by a small ring of old putty. You scrape at the putty with your thumbnail. The putty crumbles. The disc comes loose. You lift it down. And behind the disc is a small round glass lens, about the size of $50. Thick, clean. Looking up, a skylight, no bigger than a silver dollar, angled up through the concrete, through the soil, to the surface. You stare at it. Maggie. Oh my God. He put a skylight in, a tiny one, just big enough for a point of light to land on the 15th of each month at 3 in the afternoon. You climb down. You mark the spot on the floor directly beneath the tiny skylight. Maggie hands you a piece of chalk. You draw an X. Tomorrow at 3. Tomorrow at 3, honey. You sit down at the table. The candle has burned very low. Maggie lights another one, and for the first time since the moment Mrs. Abernathy handed you a brown paper package, you feel something settle in you. Not peace. Not yet. Purpose. There is a knock on the outer door. 3 slow, firm knocks. Maggie stiffens. You stand up fast. The knock comes again, and then a voice. Low, gravelly. Mags, it is Boone. Open up. Maggie lets out a breath. The sheriff. You unlock the inner door. You walk up the concrete steps. You turn the wheel on the outer door. It swings open. Sheriff Clement Boone stands there. He is 65 years old, tall, lean, grey moustache, brown uniform shirt, badge on his chest, hat in his hand. He's not looking at you. He's looking down at the step. His jaw is tight. Mags. Yes, Clem? We got a problem? Black Suburban, out-of-state plates, parked at the foot of Old Mill Road since 6 this morning. 2 men inside. They ain't moved. Maggie goes very still. Boone's jaw works. He looks at you. Caleb Ashford. Yes, sir? I knew your grandfather. I knew your mama. I have been sheriff in this county for 22 years. I am going to ask you one question, and I want you to answer me honest. Do you know what is coming? You look at him. Your voice does not shake. I do, sir. And I am going to finish what my mother started. Sheriff Boone takes a breath. He looks at Maggie. He looks at you. And he does something you do not expect. He puts his hat on. He straightens his badge. He nods once. Then you are going to need a deputy, son. My father was Walter's best friend before he died. And my daddy made me promise, when I was 15 years old, that if the Ashford boy ever came home, I would stand with him. He steps into the bunker. Max, get the coffee going again. We got planning to do. And just like that, there are 3 of you. 3 is a small number. But 3 is more than 1. And 3? In a mountain town with a sealed bunker and a puzzle to solve at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and a black Suburban at the foot of a dirt road. 3 is a beginning. You wake up before dawn. You did not set an alarm. There is no alarm. Down here, time is what you make it. But your body knows. Today is the 15th. You lie on the small bed, eyes open, ceiling above you. The hairline crack. You follow it again. Today your life ends. The old one. And today your life begins. The one your mother died for. You sit up. Your feet find the rug. The wood of the bed frame is cool under your hand. You touch it for a second, just a second, because your grandfather made this bed. With his hands. For you. You say, very softly, to no one, "Good morning." You do not know who you are saying it to, but you say it anyway. Maggie's already awake. Of course she is. She's 72 years old, and she has been awake at 5 every morning for 40 years. Coffee on, dough rising, world waking up around her, whether it wants to or not. She hands you a cup. Cream, 1 sugar. She remembered. Sheriff Boone is coming back at 2. Daniel Redmond called. He is 3 hours out. Jim is opening the store early. He is going to watch the Suburban. The Suburban is still there, honey. Of course it is. The dialogue comes out of her in little efficient bursts. She is a woman with a plan. She has been running towns, kitchens, and sick friends her whole life. She's in her element. You love her for it. You do not say so. But you feel it. At 7, you eat. Maggie has made biscuits, eggs, a bowl of canned peaches from the bunker shelves. The peaches are older than you are. They taste fine. At 8, you start reading. You open the thick envelope. You lay the letters out on the table in order. There are 23 of them, dated across 18 years. You read them slowly, because if you read them too fast, you will stop breathing. You read about your mother as a little girl. She climbed trees. She broke her arm at 8. She cried for an hour and then demanded he sign her cast in 3 different colors. She hated green beans. She loved thunderstorms. She asked for a typewriter when she was 11. He got her one, used, from a pawn shop. She named it Margaret after Maggie. She wrote her first article on it, about the mistreatment of a stray dog her class had adopted. She was going to be a writer from the age of 11. You did not know this. You did not know any of this. You read about your grandmother Nell. Nell who wore yellow dresses and hated them. Nell who sang when she cooked. Nell who could whistle with 2 fingers in her teeth. Nell who taught your mother to drive at 14 in a church parking lot. Nell who died in a hospital bed, holding Walter's hand. Who made him promise. You finish what I cannot finish, Walt. You love that girl for both of us. He wrote it down in a letter for you, so you would know that you come from people who kept promises. At 11, the radio crackles. Boone has given you both a handheld radio. Channel 4. Mags, you copy. Copy, Clem. Suburban moved. Where to? Into town, parked across from the diner. Two of them got out. One went into the general store, asked Jim if he had seen a boy, described Caleb down to the hoodie. Maggie's hand tightens on the radio. What did Jim say? Said he runs a store, not a census. Told them to get out. You hear Maggie's breath release. Good man. Mags, they know he is here. I'm coming up early. 1 hour. Copy that. You look at Maggie. She looks at you. It is starting. It started the day your mother picked up that story, honey. We are just catching up. At 1:30, Sheriff Boone arrives. He is in uniform. His hat is off the moment he steps inside. He has brought his service weapon. He has brought something else, too. A shotgun. Not for show. At 2 o'clock, another set of knocks. Boone is up and at the door fast. Who's there? Daniel Redmond. Describe Walter Ashford's boots. A pause, then a dry old voice. He wore the same pair of lace-up work boots for 34 years. He resoled them twice. He said new boots were a young man's vanity. Boone smiles. Just a little. He opens the door. Daniel Redmond is 75 years old. Shorter than you expected. Thinner. Very neat. White hair cut close. Brown tweed jacket. A leather briefcase in his right hand. The briefcase is old, which means it has been waiting. Just like he has. He steps into the bunker. He looks around. His eyes move over the books, the table, the kitchen, the bed, the rocking chair, and his eyes fill up. Walter? Like a greeting, like his friend is standing in the room, which in a way, he is. Then he turns, and he looks at you. For a long time. He sets down the briefcase, carefully, the way you set down a thing you have been carrying a long way. He walks over to you. He takes your face in both hands. His hands are old and paper-thin and cold. Caleb Walter Ashford. Yes, sir. I held you one time. You were 2 weeks old. Your mother was terrified. She had never held a baby before, except her cousin's cat once as a joke. She handed you to me at the christening and she said, Uncle Daniel, do not drop him. I cannot go through the trouble of having another one. You laugh, a real laugh, the first real laugh of your entire adult life. Daniel lets go of your face. He wipes his eyes with a handkerchief. He says, very quietly, You have her face, son. You have her face. At 2:45, you all gather at the table. The chalk X is on the floor, 3 feet in front of the rocking chair, directly below the tiny skylight. You sit on the floor by the X. Maggie sits in the rocking chair. Daniel pulls up a kitchen chair. Boone stands against the wall, near the shotgun. The clock on the wall ticks. You can hear it. You can hear your heart. You can hear the wind in the pines above the hill, and a small square of sunlight, the size of a dime, appears on the concrete floor and starts, very slowly, to move. You watch it crawl across the concrete. Daniel leans forward. Maggie's rocking chair goes still. Boone does not breathe. The dime of sunlight inches toward your chalk X. At 2:58, it is 2 inches from the mark. At 2:59, it is 1 inch. At 3 o'clock, Exactly. It lands. On the X, you stare at it. It is a small white spot on grey concrete. That is all. I do not see anything. Daniel does not answer. He's looking at the floor. His eyes are not on the spot of light. They are on the concrete immediately around it. He leans in closer. He pulls a small pair of reading glasses from his jacket. He puts them on. He reaches out, and he runs his thumb across the concrete, just beside the circle of light, a seam. A very fine, almost invisible seam in the concrete. Rectangular, about the size of a shoebox. And in the center of the rectangle, right where the sun is now shining, a tiny metal disc. Flush with the surface, almost invisible, until the light catches it. Oh, Walter, you magnificent old fox. Daniel does not finish the thought he was going to say. In front of Maggie, who smiles through tears. Caleb. Yes, sir. There is a magnet in that disc. You have the iron key? You pull it out of your pocket. That key is solid iron. That disc is a magnetic release. Touch the key to the disc. You lean forward. You touch the end of the iron key to the tiny disc. Nothing happens. Then, a very soft click inside the concrete. The rectangular seam widens just slightly. A thin edge of shadow appears. You lift. The concrete lifts, because it is not concrete. It is a lid. A concrete-faced lid. Weighted on the inside with a counterbalance your grandfather installed 17 years ago for a boy who would one day need both hands to open it. You lift the lid. You lean it back against the rocking chair. Maggie holds it steady. You look down. Inside the hollow is a metal box. Army surplus green, waterproof, locked with a small combination dial. On top of the box, a folded note. In your grandfather's handwriting. You pick up the note. You read it out loud. Because they all deserve to hear. Caleb. If you're reading this, you found it. I knew you would. The combination is your mother's birthday, backwards. She would have laughed at that. Inside is every piece of paper she gave her life for. Her notebook, her recordings, her names, her dates, her evidence. You are now the custodian, not the owner. There is a difference. Your mother did not die for this box. She died for what is inside it. Use it well. I love you. Grandpa. The room is silent. You hand the note to Maggie. She reads it. She presses it to her chest. She does not cry. She's past crying. She's in the place beyond crying. The place where a promise, 40 years old, is finally kept. Daniel pulls a small notebook from his jacket. Rebecca Ashford, date of birth, November 23rd. 1123, backwards. 3211. You kneel down. You dial the combination. The lock clicks open. You lift the lid of the box. Inside, layers. The top layer, a leather-bound notebook. The middle layer, cassette tapes, labeled in your mother's handwriting. Dates, names, places. The bottom layer, folders, manila, thick, labeled in different inks over months. Meridian Holdings, Campbell County Dumping, Senator McKinley, Officer Lowell, Fishkill Site, B, Medical Records, Whistleblower, Marcus Holloway's cousin. You stop. You look up. Marcus Holloway's cousin. Daniel nods. Read. You open the folder. It is a sworn affidavit, dated 18 years ago, from a man named Eugene Holloway, who worked at a Meridian facility, who saw things, who was willing to testify, who was Marcus Holloway's cousin, the vice president of acquisitions, The man who has been sending offers to your grandfather for 17 years, his cousin gave your mother the first real piece of evidence, and then was found dead of a supposed heart attack at 42 years old, 3 weeks after signing the affidavit. You feel sick. You also feel something else. Focus. Like a knife being sharpened. Daniel puts on his reading glasses again. He begins turning pages. He reads faster than you thought a man of 75 could read. His lips move silently. His face goes pale, then paler. Then he looks up. Oh my God, this is bigger than we knew. How much bigger? Caleb. Your mother did not just have evidence against Meridian. She had evidence against a chain of people who protected Meridian. Politicians, federal inspectors, 2 judges, a state attorney general. Still in office? Still in office. Boone pushes off the wall. His face is grim. That changes things. It does? Daniel, how do we get this out without losing the boy? The briefcase opens. Daniel lays documents on the table. Plans. He has plans. He has been making plans for 17 years. 3 moves. Move 1. We digitize everything tonight. I brought a scanner and drives. We make 8 copies. We hide them in 8 different places, in 8 different states. I have arrangements already. Friends who owe me favors, lawyers, archivists, 1 retired bishop. None of them will know what the files are, but all of them will open them and release them if I do not call each of them on a weekly basis. I call it my dead man's switch, son. Move 2. We do not go to the big papers first. The big papers are slow, and the big papers have lawyers. We go to a specific reporter at a specific independent outlet, a woman named Edith Crane. She ran the story on the Campbell County water scandal last year. She knows how to protect a source. She is ready. I have prepared her for 2 years, Caleb. She's waiting for my call. Move 3. We go to the state attorney general's office, but not the attorney general. We go to a deputy, Ellen Weiss, old colleague of mine, incorruptible. She will open a file in her name. The moment the story hits Crane's desk, Ellen moves. Subpoenas, warrants, the whole mechanism. Daniel? Yes, Caleb? How long have you been planning this? 17 years. Every word, every name, every move. You look at Maggie. She's shaking her head slowly, smiling through tears. Walter, you beautiful old planner. Daniel smiles. He was the best man at my wedding too, you know. He toasted my wife by reciting the chemical formula for calcium carbonate because she was a geologist. Boone laughs, a real laugh. Maggie laughs. You find yourself laughing, and in the bunker, on the day you unearthed your mother's evidence, 4 people laugh. Because grief is not the only thing a man leaves behind. A man also leaves stories that make the people who loved him laugh long after he is gone. Stay with me. The hardest part is behind us. What comes next is the part you came for. At 5 in the afternoon, Mrs. Abernathy arrives. She drove up in her own car, a blue sedan with a dent in the rear bumper. She parked at Jim's store. He drove her up to the gate. She walked up the path in sensible shoes. She's wearing her cardigan. When she sees you, she stops. She sees the bunker. She sees Maggie. She sees Boone in uniform. She sees Daniel with documents spread across a table. Her eyes go back to you. Caleb, Mrs. Abernathy? I got your call. Thank you for coming. Honey, I have known there was a story for 7 years. You think I did not hope, every time I saw that thick envelope in your file, that one day I would get to know it. You walk over to her. You are tall, she's short. You bend down. And for the second time in your life, you let yourself be held by an older woman who was kind to you when she did not have to be. That night, they all stay. There are only 2 chairs, so Boone takes the floor, Daniel takes the small bed, Maggie takes the rocking chair. Mrs. Abernathy refuses both and insists on sleeping, sitting up at the kitchen table with her head on her cardigan. You take a blanket and lie by the door. You sleep, and for the first time in 18 years, you sleep. Without the fluorescent hum, without the sound of other boys breathing, without the weight of being alone. For 2 days, you all work. You scan documents, you label files, you encrypt drives, you copy recordings, you listen to your mother's voice for the first time since you were 10 months old. It is on a cassette. She is interviewing a whistleblower. She's asking clear, patient questions. She's not aggressive. She's not shrill. She's a young woman, curious, precise, kind. You hear her say at one point, "Thank you for your courage. I know what this is costing you." Her voice is warm. It is the warmest thing you have ever heard. You listen to the recording 3 times. Maggie sits with you for all 3. She does not say anything. She just sits. Her hand on your shoulder. On the evening of the 2nd day, you sit at the small desk, alone. Everyone else is upstairs in the main room, folding blankets, pouring coffee. You open the last letter, the one you have been saving, the one your grandfather wrote 11 days before he died. The handwriting is shakier than the earlier letters. A man's hand running out of days. Caleb. This is the last one. I'm writing from a cabin you will never see. It is small. It is clean. It has a window over the sink. I can see a sparrow's nest in the eave. I wanted you to know the small things. So here are some small things. Your mother could whistle with her fingers in her teeth, just like her mother. You cried your first real cry at a funeral. You were 6 weeks old. You cried at the right moment, as if you knew. Your grandmother Nell loved yellow. She pretended to hate it. She wore it every chance she got. I have loved you every day of my life, including the days before you were born, including the days when I did not know you yet, including the days when I could not come to you. When you read this, I am gone. But do not think of me as gone. Think of me as a room you have not entered yet. That room is always there. You go into it when you need to. You will know what I mean. Grandpa, you sit at the desk a long time, then you fold the letter, you put it back in the envelope, and you whisper, "I love you too, Grandpa." You close the envelope, and then you see it at the bottom of the desk drawer. You have not opened this drawer before. You pull it open. Inside, a wooden box, cedar, carved with a small letter C on the lid. You lift it out. It is heavy. You open it. Letters, stacks of them, tied with twine, dozens of bundles, each bundle a year, each envelope dated, each envelope sealed, each envelope addressed to you. You pick up the top one, the most recent, no postmark, Just a date. In your grandfather's hand, 3 days before he died. You open it. Inside, a single line. Caleb. If you're reading this, I have loved you every day, including the days you did not know I was alive. You pick up the next envelope, and the next. They're all short. A sentence, a paragraph, a page, small things. The sparrow's nest is empty this week. I think about you. It snowed last night. You would have been cold. I would have bought you a coat. I saw a boy at the gas station. He had your shoulders. My heart stopped for a minute. It is your birthday today. You're 12. I baked a cake. I ate one slice. I left the rest for the sparrows. I read your mother's old college essays again tonight. She used the word radiant twice in one paragraph. She would have scolded herself for that. I'm smiling anyway. I took a walk today. I thought I heard a boy laugh. It was the wind. But for a second, for one whole second, I believed it. You count them. 216 envelopes. One for every week of the last 4 years of his life. He wrote you a letter every week for 4 years. And he never sent one. Because he could not. Because Meridian was still watching. But he wrote them. Because love does not need a mailbox. Love just needs a hand, a pen, a piece of paper, and the faith that one day the right reader will come. You sit on the floor of the bunker with 216 letters in your lap, and you cry until the candle burns down. And Maggie, who hears you from the main room but does not come in because she understands, sits in her rocking chair and holds the moment for you, the way she has held every other moment of your life that you did not know she was holding. The next morning, Daniel makes the calls. He uses a satellite phone he brought in the briefcase. It bounces signal off something, somewhere. It cannot be traced. Edith Crane picks up on the second ring. Daniel speaks for 90 seconds. Then he hangs up. He looks at you. She's flying out tomorrow. Ellen Weiss is putting together a warrant team. They want to coordinate release. Crane runs the story Friday morning at 6 a.m. Weiss raids Meridian's offices Friday morning at 6:15 a.m. Friday. Friday, Caleb. 3 days away. That afternoon, the radio crackles. Jim. Mags, we got a visitor. Man in a suit, very expensive. Drove up from the city in a black Mercedes. Just walked into my store. Asked where Maggie's place was. Tall, 50-something, silver hair, gold watch, smile like a shark. Maggie's eyes meet yours. You know before she says it. Marcus Holloway. Himself, Boone puts on his hat. He picks up the shotgun. Maggie unties her apron. She ties on a fresh one, a clean one. Boys, I'm going to go have a conversation with the gentleman in my diner. Mags? Clem Boone, do not you mags me? He has come into my town to look for my boy. He has come to my doorstep. He gets the broom, Caleb. You go with them. Boone drives. You in the middle. Maggie to your right. Her blue apron, her silver bun, her 4'11" frame. You're not afraid. You should be. You are not. Because your grandmother raised a woman who raised a woman who raised you. And blood in Silver Creek is a thing people remember. You enter the diner through the back. Maggie goes in first. Apron, small smile. The bell over the door jingles like an ordinary day. Marcus Holloway is sitting in the center booth. He looks up. He is exactly what Jim described. Tall, silver hair, gold watch, shark smile. Mrs. Whitford, may I call you Maggie? You may not. He smiles wider. Of course. Mrs. Whitford, I'm looking for a young man. So I hear. I understand he may be staying with you. I understand you are about to finish your coffee and leave. His smile tightens just slightly. Mrs. Whitford, let me be frank. My company has an extraordinarily generous offer on the table. Young Mr. Ashford is 18 years old. He's alone in the world. He has no resources. He has no guidance. A boy like that should not be making decisions of this magnitude without advice. Oh, honey. Maggie walks over to his booth. She's 3 feet shorter than he is. She looks down at him in the booth, like he's a very small dog. He has advice, Mr. Holloway. Does he? He has more advice than you have money. She smiles. Now, finish your coffee. Do not leave a tip. Get up, walk out that door, and get in your very nice car, and drive back to wherever you came from today. Not tomorrow. Today. Mrs. Whitford, with respect, I have a broom in the kitchen, Mr. Holloway. I have used it twice in 41 years, each time on a man, each time successfully. The booth is silent. Marcus Holloway, Vice President of Acquisitions, Meridian Holdings, $3,000 suit, gold watch, fleet of lawyers, looks at a 72-year-old woman in a blue apron, and he calculates. He stands up, he smooths his suit, he pulls a crisp $100 bill from his wallet. Maggie picks it up, between 2 fingers, like it is a dead mouse. She drops it into the trash can by the counter. Your money spends somewhere else. He turns to leave. At the door, he stops. He looks at you. Mr. Ashford, I knew your grandfather. Not personally. Through paperwork. We sent offers for 17 years. He never once responded. I know. You are a young man. You have your whole life ahead of you. Think carefully. I have? He smiles. One more time. Everyone thinks carefully, Mr. Ashford. Until they do not. He walks out. The bell jingles. You let out a breath you do not know you were holding. Maggie hands you a glass of water. Your hands do not shake, but your knees do. Just a little. That was a threat. That was. He knows something. He suspects. He does not know yet. By Friday, he will know. You nod. Friday. Friday, honey. On Thursday night, the whole town knows. No one has been told. Not in so many words, but in a town like Silver Creek, word moves. Slow, like honey. But it moves. And by Thursday night, Jim has quietly closed the store early. Sheriff Boone has quietly put 2 off-duty deputies at the foot of Old Mill Road. Delia, who runs the cafe down by the church, has quietly baked 3 extra pies. And old Gus Bremer, who is 81 and has not left his cabin in 6 years, has quietly cleaned his late wife's shotgun and hung it by the door. No one has told them, but they know. The Ashford boy has come home, and something is about to happen. Thursday night, you cannot sleep. You get up. You walk through the bunker in your socks. Maggie is asleep in the rocking chair. Mrs. Abernathy is asleep at the kitchen table. Daniel is asleep on the small bed. Boone is gone. He is patrolling Old Mill Road in his cruiser. You go to the rocking chair. Maggie is asleep, her head on her chest, her breathing soft. You take the shawl from the back of the chair. You cover her. She does not wake, but her hand in her sleep reaches up and rests on yours and stays. Friday morning, 5:30. You're all awake. No one has slept much. Boone came back at 3. Daniel finished one last round of calls at 4. Mrs. Abernathy has made 4 pots of coffee. At 5:45, Daniel dials Edith Crane's number 1, last time. Edith? Daniel? Publish. Publishing. At 6 a.m., the story goes live. Daniel has a small laptop. He has a satellite uplink. He has Edith Crane's independent news site open in front of him. The headline appears. Meridian Holdings linked to 17-year cover-up of journalist's death and multi-state toxic waste scheme. Daniel reads the byline, by Edith Crane, based on original reporting by Rebecca Ashford. He looks up at you. Your mother got the byline, son. You cannot speak. You nod once, and you go outside. You walk up the hillside. The sun is rising over the pines your grandfather planted. The light comes through the needles like fire. You stand at the top of your 5 acres. You can see the valley. You can see the thread of road. You can see the little cluster of buildings that is Silver Creek. And somewhere, down there, and all across the country, people are waking up and opening their phones and reading a story written by a woman who died 17 years ago. And finally, the world is gonna know her name. At 6:15, Ellen Weiss and her team, in 3 cities, raid Meridian Holdings' corporate headquarters, their regional offices, their record storage facility. By noon, 3 executives are in custody. By 3 p.m., Marcus Holloway's taken into custody at his home in a suburb outside the city. By 6 p.m., the federal government has joined the investigation. By midnight, the stock has dropped 91%. You stand on the hillside until sunset. Maggie comes up with a blanket. She puts it around your shoulders. You sit together. The sun goes down. The mountains turn purple. The first stars come out. Maggie. Yes, honey. They did it. My mother and my grandfather. They did it. You did it too, Caleb. I just opened a box. Sweetheart. Do you know how many boys would have sold the land? They would have sold it, taken the money, walked away. And your mother's story would have stayed in the ground forever. You came home, honey. That was the choice. Everything else followed. A month later, on a Sunday, Daniel drives you and Maggie to Bear Hollow, a small cemetery, 200 miles from Silver Creek. The grave is marked Harold Bennett. That is all. No dates, no message. A man who died under a false name, because loving you cost him his real one. You stand at the grave. Maggie stands next to you. Daniel stands a little behind. You have brought something, a new stone. You paid for it with part of the trust. Daniel arranged the carving. It is a simple granite marker, rectangular, deep-cut letters. 2 men from the cemetery lift it carefully into place beside the old stone, not replacing it, just beside it. The new stone reads, Walter John Ashford, husband, father, grandfather. He hid his boy to save him. He came home through his boy. You kneel down. You put your hand on the new stone. The granite is cold. I'm here, Grandpa. That is all you say. But the pines around the cemetery stir. 6 months later. Spring Silver Creek. You stand in front of Maggie's diner. The sign over the door has been changed. Maggie had it done. She did not ask. She just did it. A week ago, the new sign reads, Rebecca's Kitchen. Below it, in small letters, EST, 1962. Reopened with love. You open the door. The bell jingles. Maggie is behind the counter. She's teaching a young woman to make biscuits. The young woman is 18 years old. Her name is Dani. She just aged out of the state system. She was the first recipient of the Rebecca Ashford Scholarship for young adults leaving state care at 18, funded by what used to be your inheritance and what is now your mother's living memory. Dani looks up at you. She has that look, the one you had 6 months ago. Cautious, guarded, waiting for the catch. You smile at her. The biscuits will burn your hand the first time. Everyone says. That is because it is true. She almost smiles. Almost. Just like you, 6 months ago. Almost. Maggie puts a cup of coffee in front of you. Cream, 1 sugar. Mrs. Abernathy is on her way over. From the new place. The new place. The new place, honey. Mrs. Abernathy retired from the state 2 months ago. She sold her apartment in the city. She bought a small house 4 blocks from the diner. Yellow siding, white trim, porch. She wears jeans now sometimes, and she has learned to bake apple pie. She is not very good at it, but she is getting better. At 6 p.m., you close the diner. Maggie, Mrs. Abernathy, you walk together up the road, past the general store, where Jim is closing up. He waves. Past the sheriff's office, where Boone is writing a report. He waves. Past the school, where the first scholarship announcement is posted in the window. Out of town. Up Old Mill Road. The road is still dirt, but you have cleared it and graded it and widened the gate. The new gate is iron, but not rusted, polished, hand-forged. The sign above the gate, in carved cedar, reads, Ashford. You walk up the path, past the pines your grandfather planted, past the bunker, which is still here, which always will be, your foundation, and up to the top of the hill, where the new cabin stands. It is small, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with a window, a porch. You built it with Gus Bremer and Sheriff Boone and Jim Hollis. Daniel came up on weekends. You did most of it yourself. The porch faces east so you can see the sunrise. The windows are big because you spent too much of your life in places with no windows. You sit on the porch, Maggie on one side, Mrs. Abernathy on the other. Between you, a small table. On the table, 3 cups of coffee. Cream, 1 sugar for you. Black for Maggie. Cream, 2 sugars for Mrs. Abernathy. The sun is setting behind you. The mountains are turning purple. The first stars are coming out. Caleb. Yes, Maggie. Your grandmother would have loved this porch. You think? She would have sat right where I'm sitting, and she would have told you that she always knew. Her grandson would come home. You nod. You do not trust your voice. Mrs. Abernathy reaches into her cardigan pocket. She pulls out a piece of paper. A postcard. I almost forgot. It came to my old office. They forwarded it. You take it. It is a postcard from Dani. She has gone on a trip to the coast, her first ever vacation. On the back, in careful handwriting, Mr. Ashford, the ocean is bigger than I thought. The scholarship paid for the bus. I have never been on a beach before. I wanted you to know. I'm here because of you, but also because of her. I saw her picture on your wall. I wanted to say thank you to both of you. Danny, you set the postcard on the table. You cannot speak. Maggie takes your hand on one side. Mrs. Abernathy takes your hand on the other. And you sit there. 3 of you, on a porch, on a hill, on a piece of land that the whole world once called worthless. You think about the boy, 18 years old, with a black trash bag, standing in a parking lot, not knowing where he was going. You think about that boy, and you say to him silently, across the 6 months, you came home. And you think about your mother. A young woman had a typewriter named Margaret, writing her first story about a stray dog, not knowing that she was practicing for the story that would one day bring her son home. The stars come out fully. Maggie lets out a slow breath. Mrs. Abernathy hums something old, a hymn. You do not know which one, and somewhere, in the soft air of a spring evening, a man who died 2 years ago, in a cabin 200 miles away, under a false name comes home. Through the hands of 3 people on a porch. Through the breath of pines he planted. Through the quiet words of a boy who finally has a place to sit. Through the light falling on the steps of a cabin that did not exist 8 months ago. And when you whisper, so quietly that only the wind hears, I'm home, Grandpa. The wind moves through the pines and carries the words where you cannot follow. And that is the story of a boy who walked out of a group home with a trash bag and walked up a mountain to a door his grandfather built for him before he could walk. If you have ever been told a story about yourself that did not feel like yours, listen. Somewhere, someone has been keeping a light on. You have not found them yet, but they have been finding you all along. Go home. Your people are waiting.